ständig meine Zeit verwendet habe im Dienste meines Volkes. Gib du jetzt deine Stimme ab. Wenn ja, dann tritt für mich ein, so wie ich für dich eingetreten bin.
From a failed artist to a leader who convinced millions, his rise was built on obsession and control. He rose from the streets of Vienna to rule a nation of millions. A man whose vision, ambition, and ruthlessness reshaped Europe and left the world trembling in fear. He promised order, glory, and power beyond imagination. Yet for all his cunning, all his planning, and all his propaganda, his empire crumbled. Not under the weight of foreign armies alone, but under the fragile, destructive force of his own mind. This is the story of Adolf Hitler, not just the dictator of Nazi Germany, but the man whose pride, paranoia, and blind ambition led to his empire's ultimate downfall. What lessons can we draw from a life that shook the world? What truths about leadership, power, and human nature lie hidden in the rise and fall of one of history's most infamous figures? Part 1. Early Life and Ambition. Adolf Hitler was born in 1889 in Braunau am Inn, a small town on the border of Austria and Germany. His early life was far from extraordinary, yet it was marked by a mixture of strict discipline, dreams of grandeur, and a fascination with art and German nationalism. Rejected twice by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts, Hitler wandered through Vienna in his early 20s, a struggling artist with little direction. But in these years of hardship, a dangerous obsession began to take shape, a desire to belong, to lead, to rise above mediocrity, and to impose order on a chaotic world. The Great War, World War I, became the crucible that shaped Hitler's ideology. As a soldier, he experienced both the brutality of conflict and the humiliation of Germany's defeat. The Treaty of Versailles, imposed in 1919, humiliated a nation and, in his eyes, validated his emerging worldview. That Germany had been betrayed, weakened, and surrounded by enemies, both foreign and internal. From these years of disillusionment came a burning ambition. Hitler believed he was destined for greatness, for historical significance, and he became convinced that only he could restore Germany to its rightful place in the world. But even then, few could have predicted how far his ambition would carry him, or how sharply it would turn against him in the end. Part 2. The Rise to Power. In the chaos of post-war Germany, marked by economic collapse, political unrest, and social despair, Hitler found his stage. He joined the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the Nazis, and soon became its charismatic leader. His speeches, fueled by a mix of nationalism, anti-Semitism, and fiery rhetoric, captivated crowds hungry for hope and order. Hitler's rise was methodical. He understood propaganda, optics, and the psychology of fear. He exploited every weakness in Germany's political system, turning enemies into scapegoats and rallying a fractured nation behind his vision. By 1933, he became Chancellor, and soon after, with ruthless efficiency, consolidated power into the Führer system, the centralization of authority in one man. But here lies the first warning for those who seek absolute power. The very traits that made Hitler so compelling, his determination, vision, and intensity, would also seed his downfall. His need for control, his refusal to delegate, and his paranoia began quietly, almost imperceptibly, to undermine the very empire he built. Part 3. Paranoia and Hubris. Hitler's early years as dictator were marked by striking successes. He rebuilt the German economy, rearmed the military, and reclaimed territories lost after World War I. Yet behind these achievements lurked growing paranoia. Every failure, every setback, every dissenting voice became a personal betrayal. Advisors, generals, and ministers were not just colleagues, they were potential threats. Hitler's decisions became increasingly dictated by intuition, obsession, and fear rather than strategy or counsel. The invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 was a turning point. Initially seen as a masterstroke, it quickly became a catastrophic miscalculation. Hitler ignored his generals' advice, pushed troops beyond logistical limits, and underestimated the resilience of the Russian winter. Pride blinded him. His belief in his historical destiny outweighed the lessons of caution. Similarly, the declaration of war on the United States, following Pearl Harbor, reflected the same hubris. Hitler believed that the tide of history favored him, that destiny and ideology could bend reality. Yet every overreach, every rigid refusal to adapt, brought his empire closer to collapse. Part 4. The Crumbling Empire. By 1943, the war had turned against Hitler. The German army suffered devastating losses at Stalingrad and in North Africa. Allies advanced on multiple fronts. Inside Berlin, the situation grew desperate. Hitler, now isolated in the Führer bunker, refused to surrender or even entertain the possibility of compromise. His paranoia had reached its zenith. He distrusted everyone around him, alienated his generals, and issued orders detached from reality. In April 1945, as Soviet troops closed in on Berlin, the man who once commanded millions retreated into his bunker. Surrounded by symbols of power and yet utterly powerless, Adolf Hitler took his own life. His empire, built on fear, hatred, and ambition, had crumbled under the weight of his own flaws. The downfall of Adolf Hitler is not just a story of a tyrant defeated by armies. It is a timeless lesson in the dangers of pride, paranoia, and unchecked ambition. Power, when concentrated in a single mind, becomes fragile. Vision without humility can blind even the most capable leader. For us living in a vastly different world, there are echoes of this story in business, politics, and personal life. Leaders must listen, adapt, and temper ambition with reflection. Even those who appear unstoppable can fall if arrogance outweighs reason. History in this sense is not just about the past. It is a mirror, reminding us to act with wisdom, to temper ambition, and to understand that no empire, no matter how mighty, can survive the fragility of flawed human judgment. So the next time you hear tales of power, glory, or destiny, remember Adolf Hitler, the man who reached the pinnacle of control only to watch it all collapse from within. His story is a stark warning and a profound lesson. Greatness is fragile, wisdom is essential, and no ambition can survive without reflection. History does not punish the world for mistakes. It punishes those who repeat them without learning.